Imagine this. 72-year-old Linda from Arizona thought she was eating healthy by loading her plate with raw kale every morning. But just weeks later, she felt exhausted, foggy, and cold, even in the summer heat. Could a so-called superfood be harming her health? What if you are eating vegetables that silently sabotage your energy, joints, or memory? In today's Wellness Nest Daily episode, we're uncovering 3 common veggies seniors should never touch and revealing 3 powerful alternatives that could support your vitality well into your 80s and beyond. Curious yet? Stick around. You might be surprised by what's lurking in your salad bowl. Let's kick things off with one of the most surprising offenders: conventional white potatoes. They're on dinner plates across America, from mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving to baked spuds at family barbecues. But for seniors, this comfort food might be doing more harm than good. While white potatoes are rich in potassium and fiber, they also rank high on the glycemic index, meaning they cause blood sugar to spike quickly after eating. For older adults, these repeated spikes can worsen insulin resistance, fuel chronic inflammation, and quietly accelerate conditions like joint pain, arthritis, and even cognitive decline. Take John, for example, a 68-year-old retired truck driver from rural Ohio. Like many of us, he grew up on meat and potatoes meals and never thought twice about adding an extra helping of fries to his plate. But after retiring, John began noticing something strange. He felt increasingly sluggish after meals, and the arthritis in his knees was flaring up more often. "I just chalked it up to aging," he told his doctor, but deep down he knew something had changed. Eventually, John consulted a local nutritionist who reviewed his eating habits. The culprit? White potatoes were showing up in nearly every meal. They were spiking his blood sugar, leading to energy crashes and increased inflammation in his joints. After swapping them out for lower glycemic alternatives like sweet potatoes and roasted cauliflower, John reported feeling lighter, clearer headed, and, most importantly, more mobile. "I didn't expect food to make that big a difference," he said, "but now I can take walks again without that deep ache in my knees." John's story is a wake-up call for many seniors who unknowingly rely on starchy comfort foods. It's not about demonizing potatoes. They can have a place in a balanced diet. But for those over 60, moderation matters. And being intentional about which vegetables you eat can be a game changer for your overall health. So if you've been dealing with unexplained fatigue or nagging joint pain, don't overlook your dinner plate. The next time you reach for a potato, consider whether it's helping or quietly hurting your long-term vitality. And we're just getting started. Let's move on to the next vegetable seniors may want to steer clear of. Now let's talk about another group of vegetables that might surprise you: raw, cruciferous vegetables. That's your broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. We've all heard how healthy these greens are, right? They're packed with nutrients and fiber, and they've become the stars of salads and smoothies across the country. But here's the catch. When eaten raw and in large amounts, these veggies can mess with your thyroid. Now, before you worry, this isn't about banning broccoli from your life. It's about how you prepare it, especially as you get older. See, these raw veggies contain natural compounds called goitrogens. That's a fancy word, but what it really means is they can make it harder for your thyroid to do its job. And when your thyroid slows down, you slow down. You might feel more tired than usual, struggle to stay warm, or even notice a few extra pounds creeping on despite eating healthy. That's exactly what happened to Linda, a 72-year-old retired teacher living in sunny California. She was always health conscious and jumped on the green smoothie trend like so many others. Every morning she'd blend up a mix of raw kale, spinach, and almond milk, thinking she was giving her body a superfood boost. But a few months in, she started feeling unusually cold, even during warm days. She was tired, sluggish, and couldn't shake a sense of brain fog. I thought maybe I was just getting older, she said, but it didn't feel normal. A visit to her doctor and a few tests later revealed that her thyroid was underactive, and all that raw kale might have been part of the problem. Once she switched things up and started lightly steaming her greens instead of eating them raw, the change was noticeable. Her energy improved, the chilliness faded, and she even felt sharper mentally. So what's the takeaway? Raw, cruciferous veggies aren't bad, but moderation and preparation matter. Especially for seniors, giving your veggies a quick steam or saute can make them easier on your body while still keeping the health benefits intact. You're still eating clean, you're just being smart about it. All right, ready for the next surprise on our list? Let's look at one vegetable that's often seen as heart healthy, but might backfire if you're not careful. Now, if you thought raw kale was surprising, wait until you hear about this next group. Conventional nightshade vegetables. Sounds a little mysterious, right? But these are common ones you probably have in your kitchen right now. Tomatoes, eggplants, bell peppers, and even white potatoes, which we touched on earlier. They're colorful, tasty, and usually show up in everything from pasta sauces to summer BBQ sides. But for some folks, especially seniors, they might be stirring up more trouble than you think. The issue with nightshades isn't that they're bad across the board, but they do contain natural compounds that can trigger joint pain and inflammation in people who are sensitive to them. For older adults already dealing with stiff joints or arthritis, this can feel like pouring gasoline on the fire. And here's something else to consider. When these vegetables aren't organic, they often carry pesticide residues. And let's be real, as we age, our bodies become less efficient at processing toxins. So those little traces can build up and cause problems over time. Let me introduce you to Robert, a 70-year-old retired landscaper from Florida who knows this all too well. Robert's always been active. He loves tending to his garden and keeping his yard in pristine shape. But a few years ago, he started dealing with nagging knee pain. I chalked it up to old age and years of bending over flower bed, he said. But it got to the point where even walking around his backyard became painful. He tried pain relievers and stretching routines, but nothing really worked. That is, until he read an article about how nightshade vegetables might be contributing to inflammation. Skeptical but curious, he decided to cut them out. No more tomato sauce, no more bell pepper omelets, no more eggplant parmesan. Within a few weeks, he noticed something incredible. His knees didn't ache as much. He could move more freely. A month later, he was back in his garden every morning, doing what he loved without the constant pain. Now, does this mean everyone needs to ditch nightshades? Not necessarily, but if you're dealing with unexplained joint pain or inflammation, it might be worth experimenting. Just try going nightshade-free for a few weeks. Your joints might just thank you. Coming up next, let's shift gears and talk about 3 vegetables seniors should be eating more often and why they can be powerful allies for your health. Now that we've cleared the air on which vegetables might be causing more harm than good for some seniors, let's flip the script. Because the good news is, there are plenty of vegetables that can do wonders for your body, especially as you age. These are the kinds of veggies that don't just sit pretty on your plate. They actively support your joints, your brain, and even your bones. And at the top of that list, leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard. Now, I know leafy greens don't always get folks excited, especially if you're picturing a bland pile of steamed spinach. But don't write them off just yet. These vibrant greens are loaded with the kind of nutrients your body loves. We're talking about vitamins A, C, and K. Key players when it comes to keeping your bones strong, your eyes sharp, and your memory on point. And the best part? They're packed with natural compounds that help fight off the wear and tear that comes with aging. Think of them as your daily internal cleanup crew. Let me introduce you to Margaret, a sharp-witted 75-year-old grandmother from upstate New York. A couple of years ago, she started getting frustrated with herself, forgetting appointments, misplacing her keys, even mixing up names of her grandkids from time to time. Her doctor told her it was likely normal aging, but Margaret wasn't ready to settle for that. So she took a closer look at her diet and realized she wasn't getting nearly enough greens. Determined to change that, she started adding a handful of spinach to her morning eggs, tossed Swiss chard into soups, and made herself a small salad with dinner every night. It wasn't a massive overhaul, just small steps, consistently. Fast forward 6 months, and Margaret says she feels mentally sharper than she has in years. It's like the fog lifted, she told us. I still forget things now and then, but it's not nearly as often, and I just feel more energized. Now we're not saying leafy greens are magic, but they're pretty darn close. If you're looking for a simple, natural way to support your brain and body, a handful of spinach a day might be one of the easiest wins you can get. Stick around. Up next, another vegetable seniors should lean into, especially if you want to keep inflammation down and energy up. Following right along with our veggie upgrade list, let's talk about another unsung hero that more seniors should be reaching for: beets. Yep, those deep red roots you might remember from your grandma's dinner table are making a serious comeback. And for good reason. Beets aren't just colorful, they're powerful. When you eat them, your body converts natural compounds in beets into something called nitric oxide. Now don't worry, we're not getting too sciencey here. Just know that nitric oxide helps relax and open up your blood vessels, making it easier for blood to flow. And that's a big win for your heart, your brain, and even your energy levels. Take George, for example, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Colorado who still loves to hit the bike trails a few times a week. A couple of years ago, he started noticing that his stamina just wasn't what it used to be. He wasn't ready to hang up his helmet, though. After doing some research, he started drinking a small glass of beet juice before his rides. Simple, right? Well, the results surprised even him. Within a few weeks, George said he could ride longer without feeling wiped out, and his recovery after a long ride didn't leave him sore for days. It felt like I had unlocked a new gear, he laughed. Beets aren't just for athletes either. Whether you're walking your dog, chasing grandkids around, or just wanting to feel sharper and more energized, a little beet can go a long way. Roast them, blend them into a smoothie, or sip some juice. Just find a way to work them in. Next up, we've got one more veggie that deserves a spot on your plate, especially if you care about gut health and feeling good from the inside out. And speaking of feeling good from the inside out, let's wrap up our trio of senior-friendly veggies with one that might surprise you: fermented vegetables like sauerkraut and kimchi. Now, these might not be the first things that come to mind when you think about healthy eating, but hear me out. Fermented veggies are packed with probiotics, those friendly bacteria that help keep your gut in balance. And here's the cool part. Your gut doesn't just handle digestion, it's deeply connected to how you feel, how your immune system works, and even how your brain functions. Let's take a look at Eleanor, a 73-year-old grandmother from Texas. She used to struggle with bloating and just never felt quite right after meals. Her daughter, who's a bit of a health nut, suggested she try adding a spoonful of sauerkraut to her lunch every day. It wasn't a big change, just a small serving of something tangy alongside her sandwich or salad. Fast forward a few weeks, and Eleanor began to notice she wasn't as bloated or sluggish after meals. But even more surprising, she said she felt more upbeat and mentally sharper during the day. I didn't expect pickled cabbage to boost my mood, she joked, but I'm not complaining. The beauty of fermented vegetables is that they're easy to add to your routine. Just a little here and there can go a long way, especially for seniors looking to boost their digestion, immune health, and overall sense of well-being. So whether it's spinach, beets, or a bit of kimchi, choosing the right vegetables really can make all the difference. But now that we've tackled what to avoid and what to embrace, let's bring it all together in a few key takeaways you won't want to miss. So what can we take away from the stories of John, Linda, Robert, Margaret, George, and Eleanor? It's pretty clear what we put on our plates each day truly matters, especially as we age. By simply swapping out a few common veggies that may quietly do more harm than good and adding in nutrient-packed, senior-friendly options, you can support your joints, sharpen your memory, and boost your energy levels. It doesn't require a complete kitchen overhaul, just thoughtful changes, one meal at a time. Whether it's gently steaming your greens, skipping those nightshades if they bother your joints, or tossing a spoonful of sauerkraut on your plate, small steps can lead to big improvements. Now here's your challenge. Take one tip from today's video and try it this week. Test it out for yourself and notice how your body responds. Then come back and let us know in the comments. And if you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you care about. We've got more eye-opening, life-improving content coming your way, so stay tuned right here on Wellness Nest Daily, where better health starts with smarter choices.